Emir of Kano and former CBN Governor Lamido has praised the Central Bank of Nigeria for restoring stability through decisive monetary policies. Speaking on News Central, Sanusi said the CBN has corrected lapses in the exchange rates and prevented an economic collapse by tightening money supply. We have joining us now to break down that conversation Oladipo Ajayi, Head of Fixed Income, Chapel Hill Denham Securities Limited. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yes, a pleasure. It looks like, this administration is getting quite the pat on the back from the former CBN governor and His Royal Majesty. What are your thoughts on it? From what he said, the numbers are looking good. Do you agree? And what are the key drivers here?
Well, if we look at it fiscally, truly, the numbers are looking good. At the beginning, the current administration actually mentioned that there are 12 decisions that we need to make. And of course, they also mentioned that the pain that Nigerians were going through at the point in time is more like a pain of childbirth. But at the end of the day, when you have the baby, there will be joy. And I think that's exactly what it's looking like now, because it looks as if the numbers are now looking good. We have been seeing instability in the economy in terms of the macro levels. Currency side, the currency has been stable. The reserve is actually increasing. Oil production has actually increased because when you look at a point in time, during the last administration, where we barely produced 900,000 barrels per day. But currently, we're already doing very close to 1.8 million barrels per day, which actually makes a lot of sense and also means that there will be more accretion to our reserve. So when you look at all this, it seems truly that we are actually seeing the better side of some of the policies.
And I'll take from your analogy there, or the analogy that was cited of, a woman in labor, so we have to go through that initial pain. What can we do to make sure that we don't lose the baby, right? Yes, we are on a good path, but what can we do to sustain it? Sustainability is key. Yes, things are stabilizing, but what more needs to be done to ensure continuity and improvement?
Well, currently, I think some of the things that the current administration is doing is one of the things that could actually help to actually improve this thing over time. Because what they are currently doing is more like not changing situation, but actually creating more like a structure that can actually create a long-lasting impact. When you look at the angle of subsidy was removed so as to actually free out revenues so that there will be more revenue to actually impact the life of people directly. When you look at the point in time, there was a particular year that we actually closed about 7 trillion in form of subsidy, and imagine that we have 7 trillion on infrastructure, medical health, education, and a lot of other things. We would have seen a better impact on the life of Nigerians than just consumption. So by freeing up subsidy is also a form of actually a structural change that can be long-lasting. And beyond that as well, effectiveness, of course, we expect to see more like a revamped tax administration, where what they are currently trying to do is not to further burden Nigerians with tax. What they are just trying to do is to actually expand the tax net. Because when you look at on the part of the corporate side, from next year they will pay 27.5 in 2027 to 2028. They will now be paying like about 25%. From the current 30%. So it also means that what they are trying to do is lessen the burden on people rather than actually embodying people. But what they are doing, lessen the burden and actually widening the tax net so as to ensure that they actually increase revenue generating capacity of the government. And if the government can actually generate more revenue, what they can actually now do would not be easy, because it means that you have resources to actually impact the life of people. You have resources to create good health system, good educational system, good infrastructure, and a whole lot of other things. So I think that some of the things they are doing are more like a policy shift, that creating more like a structural system that can actually live a long time. So what we just need to do is to actually ensure that they actually continue in this line. But as much as they are doing this as well, they should not also forget, because like I mentioned, the macro side has changed. But when you look at the micro in terms of the impact of Nigeria, Nigeria have not started seeing the full impact, positive impact of some of these things directly on them. People are still living in hardship, a lot of things that are still happening. So the government now needs to work on ways to actually ensure that people feel the impact directly. And one of the ways is that when you start actually attracting foreign investment into the country, creating more jobs will actually increase reduce the burden on the people. And also actually when you have stable currency and also the stability in the economy, insecurity is no more a talk in town. Because what that would mean is that farmers can actually go to farm and actually farm easily. It means that food prices will drop. So when you see a lot of if they actually work around some of these things and ensure adequate attention, and I think that the micro side also will feel the impact. And at the end of the day, we cannot see the big picture of what the government is currently doing.
Mm-hmm. So focus on the micros, away from the macros for a moment. We know that HRM, Lamido Sanusi, did highlight that he cautioned, while he patted the government on the back, there was some caution that was placed there on the quality of spending. Yes, revenues are going up. Yes, we are borrowing more in Naira terms. And we're seeing infrastructure projects. The numbers are looking good. But how are we spending this money? What are your thoughts on that? The quality of, of spending, fiscal expenditure. He warned that if we continue spending the way we are now, it could eat up some of the gains that we have made. Your thoughts on that?
I think I agree with him 100%, because beyond actually generating revenue, you also need to actually ensure that the quality of your expenditure, they are actually top notch. This is not a time for you also actually embark on wasteful spending. It's a time for us to ensure that the lives of people are heavily impacted by the improved revenue generation or capacity of the government. A lot of people are actually paying more for some of these things. When you have talked to people around the electricity bill, the people are currently paying more on a lot of things, on foods and the likes. But the government has to find a way to actually prioritize projects that will actually impact the life of people positively. At least to a great extent, will reduce the impact of the current hike in prices across board on their livelihood. So I actually agree with that. On appointment, the government needs to actually train them on the expenditure. This is not a time where we need to actually continue to increase our personnel expense. This is a time where we need to increase infrastructural capital project expenses. So the government needs to actually look at it in that line. The fact that you're actually generating more revenue does not mean that it's time for us to now start employing or bringing or giving contracts that will not have a direct impact on the people. And this is a time where the government now needs to actually prioritize which area do you think will impact the life of people the most? Is it infrastructure? Is it education? Is it health? And then you can now rank them and actually embark on aggressive move around some of these things so that people can actually feel the real effect of this improved revenue generation.
Right. And of course, that echoes what the Vice President said about humanizing our economy. Sanusi believes Nigeria is on the right path. So what economic indicators, so right now we are seeing the right numbers, so to say, what economic indicators should Nigerians watch out for to confirm this trajectory, especially in the year ahead, 2026?
Well, one of the things that Nigerians need to actually look at, because that directly impacts them, is number one, inflation figure. Because inflation figure to a great extent tells you stories around the impact of inflation on your spending or even your real income. So as currently we've been seeing this inflation in the past 5 months. So if this continues into next 2026, it simply means that Nigerians are now having better purchasing power compared to what we used to. And also based on the expectation of the central bank still mentioned that they are looking at to actually take inflation to single digits. And sincerely speaking, if we can actually push inflation to single digits, simply means that by then, nobody needs to be talking about to convince anybody that the livelihood of people has changed. We all see it by then. And I think that's one of the indicators we do. Also, we also need to actually check what is happening on the part of the FX reserve as well. That's also very essential because the more aggression we have in the reserve, the more stability we'll see in the currency. And also that will to a great extent reduce the volatility of Naira against the USD. Another thing also is the GDP figure. We also need to look at the GDP figure. That's also very essential because economic growth to a great extent actually help in your own even investment decisions beyond other things. And also economic growth also tells you the impact. It also tells you which sectors actually which sectors are actually the main driver of the economy. So when you look at some of these data, to a great extent, they help you to tell, they help tell the story around where Nigeria is going and how fast we can get to where we are going.
And hopefully we do get there. We're staying optimistic. But one thing is needed and has been highlighted, that is cutting the cost of governance and redirecting funds towards some of the productive sectors. On a final note, what reforms do we still need to see to address that, cutting the cost of governance and redirecting those funds to productive sectors?
I think one of the things that needs to happen in the government power sector is more like we need to digitalize the government sector. Because you tend to see a lot of human impacts in some of the activity you've seen there. And so to a great extent for me, I feel that we are not actually maximizing the current technological environment. So the government needs to find a way to actually implement technology in some of the activities. Because what that would do is that will actually cut costs to a great extent. Another thing also that it would do is that it will actually improve the deliverable time and more like the turnaround time on some of the deliverables that people are actually saddled with. So if government can actually adopt that in that sector to a great extent, it will actually help to actually cut costs. And also think also that the government also needs to that there's some parastatals that are currently functioning that you feel that they can actually function as well. So the government needs to actually work on ways to actually match some of these parastatals. And what you do when you match is that you actually create a bit of synergy. And that to a great extent will improve output and also minimize cost. So government needs to actually work on which of these parastatals do they think that can actually work as well. And when you are able to actually bring them together, you're able to actually cut costs. And also on the part of the presidency as well, the presidency also needs to actually work on ways to actually reduce costs. I think there are a lot of windows for the presidency also to actually reduce costs in terms of spending and or something of such. So if we can actually do some of these things together, and one thing is that if we can do it from the top, Nigerians can actually understand that truly that we are serious with the real reform that the current administration is actually mentioning. So if the government can actually toe that line, I feel that one way or the other we'll be able to actually reduce costs and actually improve impact on Nigeria.
Right. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Oladipo Ajayi, Head Fixed Income, Chapel Hill Denham Securities Limited.